TikTok. What's going on YouTube? Used to doing TikTok lives. We're going to do a short YouTube one here. I don't know how short. Until we're done with this field. See if we get anybody to join or not. We are combining some not so good beans. Well, we're just opening the field up, and they're always the worst, but we're definitely found our beans that are not great. We'll wait till we get a few people and see if you guys can hear me, all right? I got a different microphone for the live streams here. Hoping that it is going to do a little better for the audio, maybe cut down on some of the background noise, keep my volume a little more consistent. So let me know what you think. How's that 780 running today? Combine's running great. We're doing just fine. The beans are not great, but the combine's doing good. Tuning another live. Were you on the TikTok live earlier today? Thanks for joining this one too. Sounds good so far. Okay, good. Audio is audioing. That's what we need. Evening, you sound great. Good deal. I'm hoping the microphone, the little lapel mic that I'm wearing is going to be better than the phone speaker, especially for these lives when the camera's not as close to my face as when I usually record stuff. Good beans here. Look at all that stuff that didn't come up. Are you over half done harvesting beans? Yeah, we're well over half done with beans. We are, let's see. We'll be down to about 150 acres of beans to run here at Waldron after we get this field done. And then we've got 275 to go at our Berkey farm. I don't know that the ones at Berkey are quite ready yet. I know that the other ones here at Waldron are not quite there. They're close, but they're not. We'll have to go look a little closer. Things are drying fast. It's 85 sunny in October, so the beans are drying out and maturing quickly. But some of the later planted ones just were hanging a little bit green, so we're getting there. Afternoon, audio is great. Good. I know you probably haven't had time, but I do not envy Larson's. Those edible beans look terrible this year. And they have that black muck to fight with. Well, we have some black muck to fight with, but I don't do any edible beans. I haven't watched all their stuff, so I have no idea, but we're so dry right now, it doesn't matter what soil types we've got. Were those beans planted in May? Yes. Any yield difference between the April and May planted beans? Well, today is the first May planted beans that we have harvested. And with the exception of the one field that had all the woodchuck damage, ground hog damage from the spring, that little 13-acre field, these are our two worst fields outside of that one. So, yeah, it appears that the late planting, it wasn't even late, it was the middle of May, right? It appears that that May planting hurt our yield significantly. It has more to do with it getting dry towards the end of harvest here, or to the end of the growing season, than it did with the May planting date. But the earlier the beans were planted, the farther along they were before we got dry, the better they yielded. So if I'm guessing right now, based on all the factors, which there's a lot of factors, right? There's planting date, there's variety, there's the soil types, there's the field history, management as far as where did they have fungicide and all the other stuff on them versus not. But it appears that we're about 8 to 12 bushels off the pace, 10 bushel average off from the April planted beans to the May planted beans. I'm fairly comfortable saying that based on the 100 acres that I have combined so far. Obviously, we've got a long ways to go yet. Areas like this in the field with these super thin stands where the beans are just terrible does not help. That is due to a wet planting window. Those beans are thin because it was too wet when we planted here. But it was late and we needed to get them in the ground. And then you come into the little bit lower ground and all of a sudden they're nice and tall and these are much better beans. All right, where are we at here? Which variety have you harvested, have done the best so far? Just curious. Yeah, that's an interesting question because nothing's really stood out to me. I haven't done any variety and said, man, that one's been way better than everything else. Like the very best beans that we've had, the 2 fields that have broke 70, are the same variety as the beans that were my worst field. So that doesn't tell me anything there. Everything's been really consistent outside of that. I really haven't had any variety stand out as being head and shoulders above anything else. The 2.3, the 2315s did really well. The 2.9, 29.25 Extend Flex did really well. That said, my 2674s have been good. My 3023s were pretty decent. So there really isn't anything I can say variety-wise one way or the other outside of, plot results. Do you think watering with the rain next year can increase harvest of beans by 25%? Yeah, I do. So I am realistically thinking that it should be pretty reasonable to expect 80 bushel beans irrigated.
Is that the first pass you're making along that side, Nathan?
No, it's the second one.
Okay, you want me to come over and go?
I mean, I'm at 39%. I can probably make a whole another pass to the back and dump coming up the next time.
Okay. You gotta stay on that side.
Yes, unless you just need a little bit to fill that truck.
I need like 14,000 pounds or 14 to 16.
Yeah, I don't have that. I have maybe 7.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm hoping we can average 80, and well, I'm thinking that we should pretty easily be able to average 80. I'm hoping maybe we'll break 100 bushel beans up there next year. So yeah, that would be 25%. Are you guys concerned about the wheat with how dry it is currently? Well, all the wheat that's already planted, we had about an inch and 3/10 of rain a week ago, and so that's enough moisture to get it up and growing and to get it established this fall. The field that we just finished combining right across the road from where I am now is going to get planted to wheat. It's a little dry for that, but they are calling for a chance of rain on Tuesday, so hopefully we'll get some and the wheat will be okay. But we could use some more rain. Did you ever get the 9R regen problem fixed? Honestly, I don't know. I should ask Dad if he's had any issues with it. He's been driving it the last couple of days. We took that filter out and had it cleaned last winter, and the first day we started running the tractor, it did a regen, and I thought, well, crap, it didn't fix it. But then it never did it again all spring. I say it did a regen. It threw the air code when it did a regen. It was regenning all spring just fine. But it never threw the air code again the whole rest of the spring. So I thought we had it fixed. And then the first day I got it out and was running the ripper with it this fall, it did a regen and it threw the air code again. And so I'm like, well, crap. But I haven't run it much since then, so I don't know if it's just like the first time it does it for some reason or if it's consistently doing it. But either way, it's not a huge issue anymore. You will think you will get a dump trailer for semi for hauling your own fertilizer. Probably not. We've talked about it. It's something that might happen in the future, but at least probably not anytime soon. I don't know. I don't know if we have the time to haul it. The guys that do haul for us are bringing doubles because we're Michigan, so they can haul 50 ton at a time. The freight really isn't that expensive. I don't know. Your week has gone better than mine. Alice decided to throw cylinder 2 through the side of the block. Oh man, that's a bad day. What did you find in the tailings auger? I don't know. There was a metal rod in there. At this point, my best guess is that it was something that I picked up in the field in that old building site that I had kind of combined through, and just I heard something go in and I tried to find it, looked in the rock trap and stuff, but I never was able to find anything until about 10 acres later. So if you notice less shatter loss running a specific 4.5 setting. Yeah, I like it around 1.5 to 2. on that 4.5 setting. That seems to be giving me the best cut with the least shatter loss. Now, once we got that rain and we had that week of kind of cloudy, moist conditions, I haven't noticed the shatter loss is bad. And the beans haven't gotten quite as dry, so the weather probably plays a part in that as well. Hi, Arthur. Did you get the rain started and out of the field so you can get that corn harvested whenever it's ready? I got it started this morning, but I'm waiting on that air compressor. The guy that said he was going to bring me an air compressor yesterday afternoon had something pop up, and then he was busy today, so maybe tomorrow we'll get an air compressor. But I did get it started. I ran it for a little while, ran a little hose off of it, let it charge up. Hopefully it'll start up in the morning, or I'm hoping we can do it tomorrow morning, but I don't know. It's not a big deal. We are not going to harvest that corn anytime soon. It's a few weeks out. John Deere S7. Yeah, we're an S780. What are you doing for lime hauling? I've got a neighbor farmer that's got a trucking business, and they haul lime, so I call them and say, hey, come bring me some lime, please. And they do it. Super convenient. These beans are tall. Dusty. If you put beans in the irrigated, will your 360 rain passes change from corn path to bean? You don't have to follow corn planter routes. No, and we're still going to follow the corn planter routes because I'm going to plant them in 30-inch rows. So it will still follow the planter and not run down the rows of the beans. It'll be almost identical to how it's been for corn, just in beans, and you'll be able to see the machine all year. You said BBF's a C Corp, yes. How would your kids buy into the group, and how would your dad or uncle exit? Well, if they have money, they can buy shares of stock. There's lots of different ways to do that. It's not my kids right now, it's me. How do I get more shares of it and kind of get the older generation whittled down a little bit? But yeah, I mean, I can buy it. We have a whole formula that we use to kind of determine what a percent or a share of stock is worth, and that formula takes into account the fact that it's a privately held company, that there's a lack of marketability, minority interest, deferred taxes. There's all kinds of stuff, so you end up with a percentage that's much lower than the actual value if you were just to say net worth divided by shares of stock. That helps, be able to buy it reasonably. The other option is to be able to do some gifting. I mean, the older generations can gift shares of stock to the younger generations or to whoever to try and transfer that ownership if that's how they want to handle it. Or the corporation could redeem the stock, just take money out of the corporation to buy the stock back. Or, however, but that changes what percentage a share of stock is worth. It kind of concentrates the outstanding shares, so there's lots of ways to do it, and I like it because it has that flexibility and it's simple and easy. How's it going? Just got up, soon headed down the road. It's going good. We're combining beans today. Gonna have a partial header width for a bunch of this. Covering some acres. I'm 100 acres into the day already, so that's pretty good. Not sure if this is the right guidance line or not, but it's the one we're taking. That sun's going to get real brutal for you guys here in a little bit. How many acres of beans do you have left to run both farms? Well, after we're done with this field here at Waldron, we'll have about 150 to go, and then we've got 275 down to Berkey. So 4 1/4-ish. The dust was brutal. Yeah, the dust is brutal. Wait till the sun's glaring through it and you can't see anything. I just cleaned the windows so you guys can see out of them. Oh. F12 update? I don't have anything to update. How many acres of corn do you grow? We got a bunch of corn. Close to 1,500, somewhere like that. I don't know. I mean, I do know, but it's close to that. I assume you guys would rather blah, 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 blah. Let me learn how to talk. I assume you guys would rather watch this view of the head and the stuff feeding in than me turning the camera around and looking at me driving, right? Has Phil said anything about another power tarp? He has not. He talked to the guys over there at Norwalk Custom Metalwork and told them we were going to just run this one this year and we'll see. And he said, yeah, they always come back. That's what they all say. They all come back. So, yeah. How do you think the 360 will do in beans? I think it'll do good. I think we can do some really good stuff up there as long as we can keep the disease out of them. So we'll see. Nice to watch a live stream from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Went to Oswald's Bear Ranch today. Nice. I was there back in July. Went to the Bear Ranch. And then to Tequamanon Falls. Yeah, it was a good day. We would have seen you at Rural King if you had gone last Tuesday. Hubby got done with beans to the neighbor last night. He just shakes his head at all the dust. Yeah, it's dusty. I don't remember what day it was I went to Rural King. I went one day and bought my new boots. Ran a 95.60 on a 30-foot head. Sometimes bean head was almost too wide. How does the 780 handle that 40-foot? Oh, it handles it just fine. That's why we went with a 780 instead of a 770. It was because we wanted the extra horsepower. There's times when the beans get real tall and thick, or especially if they're sort of green, you got to really slow down. But I wouldn't want a smaller head on this combine. We could probably handle a 45-foot just fine. So. Should have enough beans here for him to fill that semi, and if the elevator's, it's going to be tight. It's 6:30. I don't know if he can get there by 7 or not. I don't know if he'll take this one in or just take him back to the farm. Doesn't really matter. This view is fine. Yeah. I'll put you back when we're done unloading. UP is cool. Yeah, Upper Peninsula, Michigan is pretty cool. There's a lot of cool stuff up there. You ever figure out what that metal rod was that you ran through the combine a few days back? I did not. My best guess at the moment is that it was something that I picked up off the ground in the field. Like I said, part of that field in the corner there was an old building site. They had cleared it off a couple of years ago. This was maybe the first time we've had beans there. I think it was last year was the first year and it was corn. So that kind of stuff happens. Metal is a bad deal. A chunk of wood would have been better, but it is what it is. So. Alright, put you back on your little mount up here. Oh, not like that. Like that. When do you expect the first of your corn to be ready? I think we could shell corn now if we wanted to, but it's always Always a good idea to run beans for as long as you can until you're done, instead of switching to corn. If you got good weather for running beans, you better do it. Because once you get to the middle of October, the days for running beans are few and far between, and they get short, and it's just hard to get your beans harvested. So, probably could have run some corn yesterday when we were sitting waiting and not doing anything, but we had plenty of other stuff going on. We were trying to plant wheat, trying to get fertilizer spread, all this stuff. I got lots more fertilizer to spread now that we've got the last field of beans combined for wheat, so I can finish spreading all that wheat fertilizer. So even if we can't harvest any more beans this weekend, I'll catch up on spreading, and then hopefully Monday, Tuesday. It's supposed to rain Tuesday, but maybe Sunday afternoon and Monday we can finish up the beans here before the rain comes on Tuesday. That would be ideal, but I don't know if the beans are going to be ready or not. We should be into corn next week. Regardless, we should be into corn next week because we should finish the beans up. We might move to Berkey and do those beans first, but then we'll start the corn down there, and so we'll see. If most years the early planted beans yield better, it helps to justify upgrading planters. Absolutely it does. Every year I get more and more convinced that the biggest thing you can do to increase your soybean yields is to plant them early. Plant them early as you possibly can. So yeah, that justifies a bigger planter. Time to get a Border View Farm sweatshirt. It sure is. Head on over to Farm Focus and grab yourself one. Have you noticed the impact of tariffs on your farm? I mean, they're noticeable, but they're not devastating. I guess that's the right word. I don't know. I mean, the grain markets are terrible, right? But the grain markets have been terrible for a little while now, and they're going to be terrible for a little while longer, and eventually they'll recover. It's cyclical, it's farming, that's how it works. Grain go up and down. Does not selling beans to China hurt our grain markets? 100%. It absolutely does. But we still can sell them. $10 beans is not a horrible price. I know they're a little under that now, but it's not the end of the world. We're going to be okay. But yeah, it would be nice to have some price recovery and to get better markets. Does your sister have any interest in buying in as Phil and your dad get close to retirement? I don't think so. I kind of offered her a job a year ago to see if she had interest in that, and she decided not to. So I don't think any of my sisters have any interest in joining the farm. We still have 3 semis. Did you get rid of one of them? I think in a previous video. We still have 3. We bought a new one a year ago and sold an old one, but we still have 3. We have 2 Volvos and a Freightliner. Hear anything more about the combine that burned to the ground on 127 and Lime Creek? I heard about a combine fire over there. I don't know anything about it. Whose it was? I have no idea. You excited for the Trump bucks? No. No. I had a lively discussion on TikTok about this today. I wish they would stay out of it. I don't want bailout money. I don't want one-off farm programs. I'm not even a huge fan of the crop insurance subsidies and stuff, and I get why they're there, and I have less of a problem with them than I do some of these other one-off programs. And don't get me wrong, we've taken them, we've benefited from them, but like, why? We don't need that. Tariffs have impacted the economy since proposed in February of 24. Yeah, okay, but I would make the argument that tariffs have impacted the economy lots longer than that. I mean, we had tariffs 6-7 years ago, and they affected stuff then. We had tariffs years before that, and I could be wrong on this, but I don't think our previous president actually got rid of most of the tariffs. I think they left most everything in place. My boss farm in France. 3 combines, 1 John Deere 680i, 670i, and a 790i. All versions of the 790i US 18900 liter. I I don't know exactly what that means. Bean harvest in full swing here in south central Nebraska. Good yield soybean so far. Nice, that's good. This has been brought up before. Any more thoughts on a 12-row corn? I mean, I think about it every now and then, but it's not going to happen this year. Most likely scenario right now is when we trade combines, we buy a 12-row corn head. But we are probably not trading combines for another 3 or 4 years, so it's going to be a while. There's always a chance we could say, yeah, we can run a 12-row and we could just go buy one before that. But it's probably not likely. There's a lot of other stuff we need to upgrade first. $500,000 combine burns. Oh, we'll give you $24,000, even though you paid us darn near $1 million. Oh, that's the hopper size. Okay. Sorry, I see liters. I go to engine size, and the 18,900 didn't make any sense. I'm thinking an 18 liter was possible, but yeah. Just have a hog barn, spread the liquid manure on our hay fields. Yep. Made a huge difference in the hay yields. Have you ever put hog manure in your fields? Well, I don't have easy access to hog manure. One of our neighbors down to Berkey has a hog farm, and occasionally they'll need somewhere to spread some manure, so they'll put some on if we have some wheat stubble or something. We've done that. I can't say that I've noticed a drastic yield increase from that. We had pigs on our farm way back in the 80s and early 90s, but that's been a long time ago. We do, however, spread a lot of chicken litter, a lot of chicken manure on our fields, and we do notice pretty good impacts from that. So that's our manure source. Could probably get as much dairy manure as we wanted as well, but kind of want to stay away from that. Hog manure has a terrible odor, though. Well, I mean, they all do. Chicken litter is pretty potent as well. Missed a little spot over here I gotta get. Finger over the camera, dummy. As far as I know, it must be the largest in terms of capacity, but I could be wrong. Can't read when I'm bouncing. And what weather do you have where I live? What? It's always raining with my boss and his father. I don't even know if we'll be able to grow soybeans in peace. Okay. Is this live at 5:39 p.m. Central Time? Well, it's 6:41 p.m. Eastern Time right now, so yes, it is live. Why no dairy manure? I am just not a huge fan of the way that the dairy manure is applied around here. They tend to, right now when it's super dry it would be fine, but they tend to apply whenever they need to apply, and a lot of times ground conditions are not fit for it. They run heavy semis into fields and pack the heck out of an area where they're dumping into their frac tanks and pumping out of, and they're gotten a lot better. It's not what it once was, but we stay away from it. The other thing is it's not consistent. You can get some that can be super rich and potent stuff, and then the next load or a week later it could be just gray water with hardly any nutrients in it. So it's hard to get a consistent, even application and know what you're putting on. I would say chicken litter is the worst of all from the smell standpoint. The big thing is the consistency of the product and knowing what nutrients you're getting on that dairy stuff, and then the application method. See, with dairy manure, they're putting on, 6,000 gallons in an acre, or 10,000 gallons to the acre, or potentially they're doing that 3 times and putting 30,000 gallons to the acre on. And the amount of weight that it takes in truckloads to do that compared to the chicken litter where we put 2 tons to the acre, there's a huge difference in the amount of product and volume that they're putting on, and the compaction issues that can come with that and stuff, and the consistency issues, and it just creates more challenges. We really like our chicken litter. $2 worth of beans right there, but hey, that's better than $2 going to there. Yeah, problem was it probably cost me more than $2 to harvest them. Did you get a new jump pack? I did. I got a really nice one, and I got the rain machine started this morning. What is the width of this draper? This is a 40-footer. It's a RD40F, John Deere. Turkey smells more than chicken, so I'm guessing the manure is as well. I have no idea. Never been around turkey manure. Yeah, I told you that sun was going to get bad. You want me to tip you up so you can look right into it? Jeez. Maybe I should turn you around. You can watch me instead of the combine. Not like you can see anything. Of course, I can't either. You get the same view that I do. What's combine is this? X9 1100 or other? No, this is a John Deere S780. Clinton County, Illinois, we have all of it. Big dairy, poultry, huge pork production. I think we need to look into some of that stuff that's going on to our farms. No, the manure is okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the manure. It's just from a management standpoint, can you manage around it and, balance your nutrients and everything? I don't know what your comment means exactly there, but yeah, there's lots of livestock around here as well. Hog farms, but most of the people that put hog farms barns up are doing it because they want the manure for their own farms, and they're not selling it. Like, let's spend $1 million and build a hog barn just so we can get the manure to put on our own fields. I don't know. I don't want to be in the hog business, so. How fast are you going running the beans? I vary from 3 to 4.5 miles an hour. There's a crop dusting plane flying around my house right now. What would he be spraying for? He's probably not spraying. He's probably spreading cover crop seed, flying on cereal rye or something like that. He's not spraying. Would a nutrient application map from the dairy manure improve your opinion on the manure? That is possible then with John Deere Harvest Lab. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, nutrient map, can they actually do, or an application map? I know they can do application map as far as how many gallons were applied, but can they actually map out what the nutrient concentration and stuff is? Because that would be different. Is there much municipal sludge injected in area? I heard there's a place up north here about 4 or 5 miles that's got a bunch of dried sludge, pelletized, I don't know what's pelletized, dried stuff from the city of Detroit piled, but I haven't been up there to see it. We don't see much actual municipal sludge get applied to the fields around here. Every now and then you'll see it, but not a lot. Just started beans in western PA, no rain, getting 35 to 50 bushel. Yeah, these beans here aren't very good, so I feel your pain. Only time manure is an issue is when there isn't acres to disperse the manure. No, some options that spend a premium on land for the year. Absolutely. That's been the biggest issue with some of these bigger livestock operations and stuff, and especially the specialized ones, right? When you only livestock farm and you buy all your feed, you don't actually grow the feed, then you don't have the land base, then it gets really hard to get rid of the manure. You have to work with local farmers, and if you happen to run into somebody like me that doesn't really want your dairy manure, it gets harder and harder to get rid of it, and you got to haul it farther and farther away. And with the volume that you're talking about with this dairy manure, you know, if you're going to put even 10,000 gallons to the acre in Michigan where they can run big heavy trucks, that's still a full semi-load for every acre. So if you got an 80-acre field, you got to bring 80 semi-loads of manure to it. Well, that's expensive, especially the farther away you get from the farm. So yeah, it's not that there's anything wrong with the product going on. It's finding enough acres to spread it without over concentrating it. And like our chicken litter is coming from 40 miles away. You have a sensor that tests nitrogen similar to a moisture tester. Well, a nitrogen is one thing, but nobody's really applying manure, especially in the fall, for the nitrogen content. Adrian sends their sewage to Detroit for making pellets. Well, then maybe that's what's getting shipped back here. I don't know. I heard it came out of Detroit. Can you talk about the advantage to strip tilling? Any demos coming up on new equipment? The advantages to strip tilling, in my opinion, if you can place the nutrients directly below where you're going to plant a seed in the roots, right in the root zone instead of banding them, it makes it more efficient for the plants to go and get them. They don't have to search the entire soil profile. They'll just grow straight down to that nutrients and then proliferate in that zone. It gets them deeper into the soil so that there's generally more moisture available there for a longer period of the growing season. Plus, you're loosening that soil up where the roots need to grow, but you're keeping your soil structure between the rows so that you can drive on more solid ground. Your drainage should improve a little bit. I think there's a ton of advantage to strip till. It's just a really hard thing to try, and we have just enough elevation change. I worry that it would wash down the strips and cause some erosion, and could be some challenges with it. So as far as demos and stuff, I don't really have anything lined up. I've heard there's some things that might possibly happen, but I'm not willing to talk about anything until I have more information. So municipal sludge was a big thing in Northern Illinois 10 years or so back. They applied it, tilled it under as part of the package. Oh yeah? Here they probably just dump it in Lake Erie. At least that's what Mommy does. Around here we usually use frac tanks, dragline inject. They try to put tanks in the ditch, keep trucks on the roads. Yeah, they're not allowed to do that here. I mean, they are with the frac tanks and dragline, but you're not allowed to unload the trucks on the roads. They have to be off the road. And so what happening is they put the frac tank in, and then they got a big 5-acre lot where they're turning the trucks around, because as fast as they're doing this and pumping stuff, there's sometimes 2 or 3 trucks dumping into those frac tanks at the same time. And so by the time they get pulled into the field, turned around, straightened out, back in, they're just running down so much ground, and it just is not, it's not good for that spot. Don't dump it in Lake Erie. I'm going walleye fishing out there tomorrow. Yeah, well, that's what Mommy likes to do, so. But have fun fishing. Can't fault them for efficiency. Well, you're right. Like, I wouldn't want to haul it any farther than you have to either, but you still got to spread it across acres. You can't spread the same field every single year and put on a huge amount. You're going to build up your nutrient levels to the point where that's where we get the runoff and the leaching issues and have other problems. So it needs to be used responsibly for sure. And I did not expect this to be a manure-centric conversation here, because I am not an expert. I'm not a livestock farmer. And we use chicken litter, but that's about it. All because somebody asked about if we had ever used hog manure before. You're fine. You're allowed to ask the questions. I'm not upset about it. I'm not an expert here. I'm sure there's somebody that works for the dairy or the manure spreading people that's just like, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. And they're right. I don't. Do you have any demos lined up? I don't really have anything lined up right now. I know there's a possibility of some stuff, but I don't have any solid details or anything really set. So I'm not going to talk about them yet. Saw 360 Rain post an Instagram reel about spreading manure where they would run it straight out of the pit farm. Yeah, that's what a lot of them are doing. Most of those 360 Rain machines, I don't know about most, but a huge amount of those 360 Rain machines are set up at livestock farms, and they can just pump out of their pits and run it right onto the fields in season. Usually they're blending it with some water. They may be 50-50. They may be 25% manure, 75% water, or something like that. But if you could band those nutrients in season right on the row so that plants can use it right away, like that is so incredibly efficient and so much cheaper than hauling it somewhere, right? Like it would make the manure hauling costs so much cheaper. Average bean yield this year, above average, below average, safe harvesting. I would say we are slightly above average across everything. That said, the beans I've been running today are certainly dragging that average down. They have not been good. These beans here are running around 45 bushel, and this is a crappy farm, right? This is not a good farm, and they were planted in May. So that's a big portion of it was the later planting, but I kind of wondered if the late planted, late maturing beans, which these are 3.0, were going to drop off. And so far they have. So overall, we're okay. We had really good early beans. All the April planted beans were really good. But we're out of those now. And I know that these are not good. The last 150 acres of beans that we've got here at Waldron, they're on maybe a little bit better ground than this, so they might be a little bit better. I'm hoping they're going to be in the 50s. And then the beans planted down to Berkey have looked really good all year. They look fantastic. They should be really good. We had a little bit more rain down there, but they're full season beans planted in May, and those have not been good so far. So we'll see. You selling most of your beans, or are you putting the majority in the bins? We're selling what we had contracted. So we've got some HTAs or some contracts that we had made throughout the year for fall delivery, and we are delivering on those contracts. And then we are trying to fill our bin. I don't know if we're going to get the bin quite clear full after we fill the contracts that we have. Or at least the ones with the price set. We can always roll some of the ones that we haven't set basis on yet to winter or spring delivery, and pick up a little bit of carry in the market, gain a little bit better price. But yeah, so I'll say 50-50. I don't know that it's actually 50-50, but we're doing both. 360 Rain likes a sweet setup. Way better than mowing down all that corn like you used to have. Oh, it's so much better than what I used to do. There's no comparison. You have a good handle on manure and nutrient loading. Okay, so I'm not totally off base, but again, I'm not the expert on it. Is there anything that you would like to demo, new implements or tools? I would really like to try a 2660 John Deere vertical tilt disc, or they don't call it a high-speed disc, but yeah, a 2660 would be a fun tool for me to demo in corn stalks this fall. I mean, they tend to bring me demos or things that I'm not actually going to buy, like an X9 combine, you know? So if they wanted to bring me an autonomous tractor to demo, I would certainly love to do that, but I'm probably not going to buy one for a little while. And outside of that, things that we're actually looking into buying, I mean, a newer tractor is definitely on the list. If they wanted to bring out a tractor just for a demo, I pretty much have a pretty good handle on them because we've got that 8RX, and you know, it's not like they're new to me, but still fun to demo and use. So, are you done putting tile in for the year? Well, kind of. We're done with everything that we have planned. However, we have another project that we are starting to plan, and if we can get it done this fall, we might try and do so. But It's a cornfield now, and corn has to come off first. Where at on the border are you? I'm from Temperance, Toledo area. So we're west of you quite a ways. We're about 20 miles east of the Indiana border. Trump farmer bailout. Will you benefit? I haven't heard any details. I saw there was some announcement yesterday of some new programs and stuff. If they're giving money out to the farmers, yeah, we're going to benefit from it. It doesn't mean I like it. Doesn't mean I want it to happen. Any closer on a new truck purchase? I haven't talked to anybody for a while. About probably, 3 weeks ago now, 4 weeks ago, I went and looked at some stuff, and I wasn't real happy with what I was finding. I started looking online. I'm actually sort of changing my mind a little bit and thinking maybe I'm just going to buy a 3/4 or a 1 ton. The one dealer here close has a 3/4 ton with a max trailering package that's pretty close to what I want. It's not a super nice high-end model like I usually would buy for a truck because I like nice things, but it's not terrible, and it's semi-reasonably priced, meaning cheaper than what some of the comparable ones are. It's still too expensive. But if I got a break, I was thinking about going over and looking at that one and talking about it. I don't know. I'm being grumpy and picky, and I don't like how expensive any of them are. From northern Missouri, we were dry after August 15th. Early planted, early maturing variety beans are better than the late planted beans. Yeah, so we've been dry since August 1st, and I'm seeing basically the same thing. Now, the early planted beans, it didn't seem to matter whether they were early maturing or late maturing. They were all really good relative for the amount of rain we had, but the late planted, late maturing beans here so far have not been good. And I don't have any late planted, early maturing beans to compare to, so probably not our business, but did the Rain 360 pay for itself yet? Probably not paid for itself yet, but this is only year 2, right? And I don't know what kind of harvest results we've got. So we'll see what the difference is as far as yield advantage this year. But at the end of the year, by the time you figure in the cost of the machine and what our operating costs are as far as electric and that stuff, I doubt we've broke even on the actual paying for the whole machine yet, but it's certainly working. It's certainly increasing our yields, and going to have a reasonable payback. The longevity of the machine is still up in the air, and I'm really curious to see how that's going to work. I didn't really account for that when we bought it, was the fact that this thing's going to see more hours in a year than we put on any other piece of machinery. Like, we're putting over 1,000, close to 1,500 hours a year on that thing. And more than 1,500. We're over 3,000 hours on the machine. So, yeah. Is it going to run to 20,000 hours without major problems, or are we going to start having issues? I don't know. That's my biggest unknown with it right now. When do you think you'll start shelling corn? Maybe black mold. Gerald, where are you at? I know there's been lots of disease in some different areas and stuff, so that could be what you're seeing, but there's lots of reasons for that. I'm hoping we're going to start shelling next week. We don't have a lot of beans to do. There's a chance of rain on Tuesday. Some of the beans aren't quite ready yet, so we're kind of waiting on that, but I'm hoping by the end of next week we'll be running corn for sure. Audio is loud and clear using the new mic now. I am! That's good. I'm glad you like that. Can't wait to binge watch your videos this weekend. Thanks. Appreciate you doing that. I spend too much time live streaming in the combine to get caught up on my YouTube videos, so I'm still like, I don't know, 10 or 11 days behind on the videos, the channels that I try and watch. There's a lot of talk in Texas about forever chemicals getting in the ground from municipal sludge. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that really around here. You hear about these forever chemicals, but I don't really, I haven't researched it very much. Autonomous tractor would be awesome to see on our channel, wouldn't it? That'd be cool. 1 ton single rear wheel Duramax with XL seats would make a great addition. Yes, it would. I found out recently that a 3/4 ton with the max trailering package has the exact same trailering capability or towing capacity as a 1 ton single rear wheel does. And so, like, I'm like, well, maybe I'll just do that. And this 3/4 ton that I found has the max trailering package, so it really would be the same as running a 1-ton, and yeah, I don't know if it'll ride any better, but it would, yeah, it would be the same. All right, I lost my grain cart driver. Oh, camera's on the other side than it normally is. Can't get into any 1-ton up here in Canada for less than 100 grand. It's gross. Yeah, yeah, that's about right. Oh, most of the quarter 1-ton trucks are in the $75,000 to $90,000 range, and that's outrageous. Guy shelling corn south of LaGrange, Indiana. Oh, okay, so you're not that far. I don't know if they got the southern rust there or not, but could have been tar spot. Could just be the plant's decaying naturally because after the plant material dies, you'll notice it on the corn leaves. You'll notice the little black fungus starting to grow on it. That doesn't happen until the plant is already dead, so it's not actually hurting the yield, but it makes a terrible, nasty black mess. But it's actually part of the corn starting to decompose and break down, and it's a good thing. Did you go to Farm Science last month? I didn't hear you talk about it. I did not. We were running beans hard that week. That was the week we got started combining beans, and I was not taking a day off of combining to go to a farm show, so we didn't make it this year. Guess not certain where the filtered stuff goes from our water.
Hey, Nathan, you there?
Filtration plant currently in construction. Yeah.
Is that header cart in a position for you that's good, or should I bring a pickup over and move it?
I don't know. It's on the other side of the grain cart. I can't see it very good. I don't really need to move the combine tonight anyway, though, so you don't need to do that.
Okay.
If you want, you can be done. I mean, we can leave the grain cart here tonight and unload it in the morning or whatever, and we'll get the stuff out of here tomorrow, so you really don't need to come back over here.
Well, I can come back with the truck and get it emptied.
Did you empty that truck that you just took, or are you putting it in a bin there?
No, I thought with that stuff from the last of the shaders was probably crap, or it might be been a little green and dirty. I thought maybe I better take it in.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you can bring the other truck, I guess. All right. All vehicle prices are outrageous. Correct. Oh, yes, the famous black dust that leads to farmers' lung. Maybe. I don't. Yeah, I suppose, but we aren't in the dust. The people on TikTok see this view and they see all the dust and they think that I'm just sitting here sneezing all day because they don't know that there's a window right here. Hear it? Do you find signs of disease this year? Oh, yeah, we had disease. We had tar spot come in late, but our fungicides worked really well. My genetics have pretty good tolerance, but my neighbor, one of the fields right next to us, across the road from my house, had a different genetics, and they got tar spot really bad. So, yeah, there was plenty of disease in the area. I just think that it came in late enough, and we were proactive enough with our fungicides that it's not going to hurt us too bad. Brock working today? He was, but he took off when we started this field. Had some other stuff going on tonight. At current prices, do you have a break-even yield? I mean, it would take some figuring to come up with that break-even yield, but sure we do. I don't know exactly what it is. And I know it matters, and I know it's important, and I know everybody should know this, but I don't care that much. I'm going to grow as much as I can possibly grow. We're going to sell it for the best price that we can possibly sell it for, and we're going to do it again next year. Max tow 3/4 ton has the same stiffer frame as the 1 ton with softer springs for the right difference. Yeah, there you go. Can't even hear Brock loud and clear. That wasn't even Brock. That was Phil. That was the infamous Phil. You got to see him or hear him. not quite going to get these done before we lose our sunlight, am I? What do we got here? We're at 21 acres. We got about 10 acres to go, a little under 10 acres. Take us 45 minutes. Yeah, we'll be done a little before 8 o'clock. That's pretty good. That's a really good day. We're going to end up with 120, 125 acres today. Well done. Have the deer hunters had any luck yet? Not that I'm aware of. I don't even know if they've been out yet, though. I haven't really seen them out hunting, so. Would you add any additional crops if the soybean market does not open back up as far as China purchases? Well, not for that reason, no. I'm going to plant soybeans next year just like we always do because we can sell them locally. Like, I don't rely on China. Would China buying beans help raise the price? Yes. Can I sell my beans if China doesn't buy any? Also, yes. Like, that's not the end-all be-all for our soybean market, right? That said, would I add any other crop? I mean, it's unlikely. I wouldn't mind having other alternative crops to be able to grow, but we have to have a solid, secure market, and it has to be with equipment that I already have or is reasonable to purchase. I don't want to have to go and buy a bunch of specialized equipment for some specialty crop that I may or may not be able to sell. Enjoy your videos, watch every day. Thanks, Dale. How do you think the drone did? The drone did fantastic. It's going to be interesting once we get, well, I'm not going to have much for comparison stuff for in the corn versus a ground rig because I didn't do any of that. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see our results from it once we get some yield data and stuff. But as far as being able to spray and cover ground and do what I wanted to do with it, it was fantastic. It did a great job. There are long, hot days sitting out there on that trailer doing it, but it really was pretty easy. I was able to cover ground faster than I thought. It did everything I needed it to do, and I covered enough ground that it essentially paid for itself in 1 year. So, yeah. Is the head angle adjustment you made causing the teeth to break, or is it normal wear and tear? It's possible that me running that head on a little bit of a downward angle is causing some of those guards to break. Yeah, it makes it a little bit more aggressive, helps bring the beans in and keeps them from shattering, but it very well could be causing us to catch some rocks. I haven't had any really in the combine. I've only pulled one out of the rock trap all fall, but it may be causing some of that breakage. Yeah. I replaced 5 of them yesterday. That's pretty unusual to do that many. Soybeans can go to soybean meal and cow feed. Yes. Hog feed, chicken feed, cattle feed, soybean meal, soybean oil. So they're currently building a soybean crush plant in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. And they're probably at least 6 months, maybe a year out from actually taking beans or being ready to run anything. But once that plant is up and online, you can drive 2 hours in 3 different directions and get to a significantly sized soybean crush plant. And we have great markets for running soybeans. There's a Zeeland Farm Services soybean facility up in Ithaca, Michigan. And I looked up these numbers the other day. I'm trying to remember what they are, but they crush enough beans there to use every bean that the state of Michigan grows. So the demand is extremely high. And then there's another plant they're going in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. There's a plant over in Indiana somewhere, northwest Indiana, Louis Dreyfus plant. So there is a lot of soybean crushing facilities around, and we have a very good market for them. If you were to add a different crop, what would you think it would be? I have no idea. I have no idea. There was some talk of barley a few years ago that sounded like it had some promise, but that pretty well fizzled out from what I understand. I don't know of anybody growing any. Sunflowers would be really cool, but I have nowhere to sell them. I got a buddy about an hour north that raises some canola, but last I knew they were trucking it to Canada to get rid of it because they don't have a market either. So I don't know. It would be really hard to find a new crop to grow. Maybe it is good to know for the viewers what the total result of your products are. All cost minus Grapes from the Netherlands. Yeah, well, I balance giving exact results and stuff with personal financial information that doesn't need to be broadcast to the world on the internet. So, do you have a local market for edible beans? Not a significant one. I hear there's a place over in Blissfield that does some edible beans, but I think they grow them all themselves. There is up in the thumb of Michigan a lot of dry beans grown, lots of different kinds. But we're not, we're 3 hour drive from there. We're not trucking stuff for 3 hours. I also look forward to watching each of these videos. Nice they come out in the morning. Thanks, Dan. I try. Some days I'm not real good at getting them released on time, but I'm doing my best. Look at the dust hanging all the way across the field and the road there. The air started to get heavy. We lost all of our breeze, or most of it, and so the dust just hangs in the air. Uh-oh. Why isn't that feeding in? Pushing there? A big wad of stuff. Come on, feed in. There it goes. I'm going to increase our flex pressure a little bit. Did you know that Dale Warner? Crazy story. I did not know him. I know the story. But no, I did not know him. There's a lot of potatoes that are grown in northern Indiana and lower Michigan. You're right, there is. But they also have sand. We don't have sand. You can't grow potatoes commercially in clay and with rocks. What Milo? I wouldn't be able to tell you what Milo looks like if I saw it in the field. That's a western crop, I think more of a dry climate crop than what we have here. And again, I wouldn't have anywhere to sell it. Commercial produce tends to be limited to fixed distance from the processing plants, lose nutrient value, short amount of time, some crops. Importantly, can freeze in time of year. Yeah. If you go east of here, there's quite a bit of cabbage and some potatoes and a few other things, but they again have different soil types than we do, and they're closer to the markets. There are some tomatoes in the area. I suppose that we could probably get tomatoes if we wanted to buy all the specialized equipment, but again, they're going to get trucked a long ways. I've seen more people get out of the tomato business than into the tomato business in the last 10 years. So I don't know if that's a great market either. What is going on here? It's bunching up right in front of me and I can't see it because of the dust. And I'm not sure why it's doing it, but yeah, right there. Look at that. A big old wad of stuff. Yep, saw that one coming. Going to work through, but feeder house didn't like that. Come on, push in there. First sign the beans are getting tough. The dust hangs, beans are going to get tough really quick. Yep, that's going to happen, but we're going to finish this 10 acres here. Is this your favorite time of the year? I do love harvest time. It's it's a little bittersweet, right? Because it means it's going to start getting cold, and I don't like cold. But yeah, I do like it. I also do really like planting, though. So spring and fall are both really good times. Are you happy with the drone application on the beans now that it's harvest time? Any streaking? I didn't see any streaking from the drone anywhere. I didn't see it in corn. I didn't see it in beans. I think it worked really well. I did do a couple of fields with the fungicide that I need to go back and kind of evaluate that a little bit more and look at the data on it. But overall, yes, I'm really happy with the drone. Minnesota River Valley to the south, there's some that do sweet corn. Okay, sweet peas and green beans. Somebody going to see those harvesters at 2 a.m. Yeah, that'd be really cool. I had a buddy over west of here, a little ways up in Michigan, that used to raise pickles. And I got to go out and watch them when they were harvesting pickles one time. And man, that was cool to see too. What upgrades will we be doing to improve the drone trailer setup now that you have some experience with what worked and what needs improvement? A better sound barrier for the generators would be nice. I don't know. Honestly, for what I did this year, it worked just fine. If I am going to do the same thing next year, I don't really need to make a lot of improvements. If I wanted to get a second drone and try and run 2 of them, then we got to make some improvements somehow. So I haven't really decided on all that stuff yet. Remains to be seen, but I thought my setup worked pretty well for, what it cost me. Sugar beans. Have you considered alternate options for charging the drone batteries instead of generators, power banks, batteries? That'll never work. You got to have a generator. That is a 13,000 watt generator. Like it's not a small generator, and to think that you're going to do any of that stuff and charge those batteries all day with a solar power or a battery pack or something like, it's not possible. You rip all your bean ground. We rip everything going to corn next year. So the bean stubble that's not getting planted to wheat, yes. Did you get your 360 rain started? I did. I got it started this morning. I didn't get the air compressor to get it blown out yet, but I got it started this morning. So hopefully we'll get that tomorrow and we can get that thing taken care of. 2001, we paid $50,000. You paid $50,000 for a Chevy truck in 2020 in 2001. Yeah, that seems like it was expensive back then. I paid like $52,000 for my Chevy, my 2012 2500. For that, brand new, I paid $52,000, I think, and that was expensive. Triple R Farms in South Central Alabama started with Milo. They grow Milo in Alabama? I had no idea. He's noticed it really decreased the corn yield the following year. Okay, well, that's a pretty good reason to not plant it. Hello from Northeast Ohio. Hi, Dave. Neighbor's beans are still about a week from harvest. Yeah, there's still a few green ones around here, although this weather has made them all turn really fast. There's my next truck, so I'll have a grain cart driver again. Tried to tell him to go home for the night. He didn't want to, so that's fine. We've been putting lights on the new grain bin in Berkey like the ones on the home farm. I think Dad did put some lights on. He's been down there doing the electrical the last couple weeks. I haven't been down there for a while to see what exactly, but I know he got the fans and the unload motors all wired up, and said something about lights at one point, so I don't know what exactly he did, but yeah, hopefully we got some lights down there. We need some lights on the pit, but the thing is, we use that grain facility for about 5 days a year, and so it's hard to put a lot of time and effort and money into putting lights and all these really nice things on there because, like, we don't use it that much. It's not that big of a deal. Plant Milo in southeast Missouri. And corn, soybeans, Milo, and wheat. Spreading lime on half my half-acre garden. pH is bad, about 5.5 to 5.7. Last loaf going into spreading about 1.5 to 2 ton on the half-acre. Yeah, that'll work. You're gonna spread that's 4,000 pounds the acre. That's a lot, but it'll be at your pH. You're gonna, yeah, it might take a couple years to fully notice it, but that'll do it. Brayson wants to know when I'll be home. Well, I've got about 6 acres left to combine and then move some stuff home. So I should be home in 45 minutes before bedtime. They grow Durham in Alabama too? I had no idea. Corn up there getting any disease. Well, our corn's all dying. It's all dried up, but the tar spot came in late. I haven't seen any southern rust. We did have some northern corn leaf blight, a little bit of gray leaf spot, although I don't think that was too bad this year. So, pickles or cucumbers, right? Yes, cucumbers. But they grew them specifically for pickles. There's a Velastic plant over there by where my buddy was, so. Is there a certain time of year you can get a better price on fertilizer to fill your tank up? Well, usually yes. We don't always know when that is, but typically we can fill up like our 28, our liquid fertilizer tank in the end of August, early September is usually the cheapest time to do that. We did do some of that this year, back a month ago, but it wasn't really cheap. It was more than we paid for stuff last year, so I'm not real thrilled about that. As far as some of the other stuff, some of the fertilizers we can't overwinter here. They will salt out at cold temperatures. So like the ammonium thiosulfate that I use, for example, or 1034O, maybe not that as much, but the ATS for sure. We can't bring it in the fall and store it through the winter because it will salt out and then we'll have a huge mess in the spring. Now we can pay for it and buy it. We usually do it in the winter sometime to try and get a decent price on it, and then they just deliver in the spring. Maybe there's better times to buy it, maybe there's not, I don't know. And then as far as the dry fertilizer and stuff goes, we try to buy it, this year we bought it, the potash in June or early July, I think it was. And, that seemed to be the best time, but we're still new to this dry fertilizer and being able to store it, and so we're trying to figure all that stuff out. Need a blower for above the head. Throw it to blow that dust away from the cab. Yeah, I don't know if that would work real good or not, but. Who's your favorite farming YouTuber? So I watch a bunch of different ones. There's 2 that I watch basically every video, and that's Zach, Millennial Farmer, and Brian Brown, Brian's farming videos. I don't know why, I just have gravitated towards those guys. They seem to be my style, and then there's a bunch of other ones that I'll watch an episode here and there when I can, or when I get caught up on the other ones or whatever. So, any word if rain will be getting an upgrade to stop that hose from pinching leaking? I think they were talking about something with some software or something with their algorithms to how its theory of operation stuff works, but I haven't heard anything outside of that. So. We'll see if it continues to be an issue or not. Next year, it's going to be so much easier to work on because it's going to be a bean field. So, not that I want it to have problems, but at least we'll be able to do stuff to it. All right, we are hour and 15 into this, and we're probably going to shut her down here pretty quick. I need to film a little bit more for the YouTube video for tomorrow, so you guys have something to watch in the morning. So if you got any last questions, get them in, and then we'll wrap this one up for today. Get auto turn working on that. I haven't. I thought about that, but this is not a good field for auto turn. Probably when we go to Berkey. We have big square fields down there. That's when we'll try out the auto turn. How far do you live from Brian Brown? We're quite a ways apart. I'm up on the Ohio-Michigan border, and he's in southern Ohio, so probably every bit of 3-hour drive, maybe 4 hours. Thank you, Nathan. You have the best videos out there. Thanks. Very informative. You've taught me a lot. Wish my grandfather was still around to see the changes. It's amazing how much things have changed in the 100 years, isn't it? So, all right, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. Hey, Brad, thank you. Thank you. Split it between your boys. I will do. Appreciate it. Had Dad decided what kind of structure he'll build to protect the rain. He hasn't talked about that for a while. We built that fertilizer barn and it gave him something else to focus on, so I don't know. It's made to live outside, so it's fine. We don't need to worry about it sitting there. Need to do a podcast with Brian. I would totally do a podcast with Brian. He kind of gave up on their farmer talk stuff there. We'll see if they get back into it after harvest or not. But all right, here, just for you guys. There we hit the lights. But yeah, I saw him. When did I see him? Oh, I'm in Louisville, and he said something about having me on. So yeah, I would totally be open to that. All right, take care, guys. We'll see you next one.